San Pasqual High School, you have 3 minutes. San Pasqual High School, you have 1 minute. Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Drum Major William Flowers from the city of Escondido, performing their show entitled Motown Magic, the Vista Invitational Field Tournament is proud to present the San Pasqual High School Golden Eagle Marching Band and Pageantry Corps. The Golden Eagle Band is under the direction of Brian Lund and drum majors William Flowers and Howard Kahn. The musical selections included a medley of Motown music. The band section.
All right, I think we're ready to go. So welcome to our annual senior toast recognition thing. We're gonna start down here and move our way that way, and I'm gonna say 3 non-negative things about each student, or Mrs. Garvin will. One of us will say non-negative things. I will try my hardest to say no negative things about any of these fine seniors. Some of them are slackers. Other ones are not. Oh, so let's just get started. Mrs. Garvin, go ahead. The microphone's right there.
Okay. So I only have 2 seniors, but I'd like to start with Sierra. You can step forwards. So for those of you who don't know Sierra, she is a very, very dedicated, sweet personality, very helpful to others kind of person. I've only had her on the team this semester and last semester, but it's been a pleasure, and I'm really sad to see her go after the end of this year. She's very talented. I feel like everybody that is on the team looks up to her and can relate to her and finds her someone that they want to be around. And I think not having you around next year is going to be hard. I also want to give a little tidbit about her personality or character. She is the type of person that is always listening. She's never talking. Her focus is always on exactly what's being asked of her. She's on task. Her future, she's trying to go into the Marines. So she's been working on that while coming to rehearsal as well, right after going to training. So she's just good at, making sure whatever she's committed to, she stays committed to. So very proud of you, and I'm sorry to see you go. But cheers to Sierra. Cheers. And you get a tea. Or, I'm sorry, keychain. What's your name?
Thank you.
You have to drink when you cheers, otherwise it's like Starbucks. All right, our next senior is Kendra. So as you all know, Kendra is currently our captain, and she was in leadership last year and this year, and I could not have made a better choice. And your sophomore year, sorry, 3 years. She has proven to me time and time again that she's so responsible. She does things before I even ask. Once I ask her to do something, I never have to think about it again because I know that she's going to handle it for me. I've had her all 4 years since the day she started. I've appreciated having you there. You've had a positive attitude. I think the smile is like there every single moment of every day. Definitely everybody looks up to you. You're super talented at what you do. It's been a pleasure having you. Also, something about Kendra, she wants to become a teacher. So she's really in that, helping others, teaching people, kind of, personality about her. And I appreciate that, and I think that team morale has been really good because of that. So, cheers to Kendra.
Kendra.
Cheers. And I think you go to the end.
All right, thank you. So Elizabeth is new to band, but she's not new to my heart. She's just the sweetest thing. I absolutely have loved having Elizabeth and Raz. And now that she's in band, it's just like, I actually wrote down, can't get enough Elizabeth, right? It's just, she's so awesome. I love it when band students do choir stuff or choir students do band stuff, and I get to spend more hours with them. It's phenomenal. I think that the 4-year seniors up here have probably spent, so she's a 4-year senior in the music department, have probably spent over 1,000 hours you and I have spent together, which is more hours than I've played Civilization. By only a small amount. So thank you for joining band. Thank you for being awesome in Raz, and for making me happier by taking another music class. You are awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Long.
To Elizabeth. Here's your medal thing.
Thank you.
This is Orion. Do you guys know Orion?
Yeah.
Orion is also a 4-year senior. He's done a little bit of everything. He is currently in pit with a whole bunch of girls. I spent some time thinking about this. I'm wondering if that was like a sly, like... Aren't you the only guy in the pit? Eric was supposed to be, but then you convinced him to not do it. Clever man. Brilliant, Orion. Really well done. Orion has stuck with it. He's still in band with us. We really appreciate having him here. He's been really good about communicating things to me recently, which is good, an improvement, I think. And our percussionists have experienced some really crazy 4 years, right? We've had a little bit of everything. You guys have had ups and downs, multiple percussion instructors, right? Percussion class and then no percussion class, right? You guys had a percussion class once upon a time. You were a percussionist once upon a time, right? So I really appreciate that Orion is still here, even though some crazy stuff happened along the way, and it's been a tough journey for those percussionists. But we really are glad that they're still playing with us and that he's still playing with us as well. To Orion, congratulations. I like this "you guys come to me" thing. Usually I go to you. It's nice. So this is Kevin. Kevin, so you used to do percussion. So tell us about your trumpet journey. Did you start playing trumpet when you were in high school, or had you played before?
In high school.
You started playing trumpet in high school. You hadn't played trumpet before then. Are you making this up, or? So Kevin is a featured soloist in our field show. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. On an instrument he didn't play a few years ago. I actually wrote soloist ! Who'd have thunk? I would not have been able to guess 4 years ago if somebody said, hey, this guy's going to be playing a trumpet solo in his senior field show. I would have just said, what? What are you talking about? He's a percussionist. Kevin is just the nicest guy. He's super humble. You know, a lot of trumpet players aren't, but we have great... No, not our trumpet players. Out in the world of band, trumpet players are known for their ego. And we don't have that problem. We have solid, humble, teachable, capable trumpet players. And Kevin's right at the front of that. He just works so hard, and I'm just so proud of him for stepping up and playing a solo and taking his musicianship seriously, setting a great example for everybody. To Kevin. Cheers, man. Congratulations. Who used to play the flute?
Kevin.
Kevin used to play the flute. That's good to know. That's awesome. This is Kaylee, everybody. Why are you guys so far away? It's like the line keeps getting farther this way. They're gonna have bad audio if we're way over there. So Kaylee, I wrote down battle-scarred veteran.
Yes. Okay.
She's like always wounded. She always has a sling on or whatever, and she still comes to band with a smile on her face, right? Maybe she got beat up in MMA or wrestling or whatever, but she's like, I'll still pit it up. Why not? Right? I can still do that. Kaylee is playing in the pit right now, and which is awesome because everybody knows that bass clarinet is useless in a field show.
Yeah.
It's not that useless, but I'm glad that she is still in band. I know that that was maybe a tough choice for her to make, and I, for one, am on a personal level appreciative that she made that choice. So I wrote, tried out Pitt, great attitude and musician. You guys could look at Kaylee and say, hey, what is Mr. Lund looking for in musicians and like attitude and go get them? That's Kaylee right here. Plus she's an athlete. I don't know if I mentioned that. And she's just her sense of humor is awesome too. And we're gonna really miss having Kaylee around. To Kaylee. So I wrote, the first 5 words I have written here are love the sense of humor. Kyle is one of my favorite people to randomly single out in class for no real reason. You know, he and I will just stop and stare at each other. It's pretty awesome. If I need to insert somebody's name in one of my random speeches, Kyle's is usually it. One, because I know that if it's kind of a silly thing, he's you know, easygoing and thick-skinned, and later he won't be like, why did you make fun of me? 2, because I think it's hilarious. Kyle really plays super well. You may not notice that because he's not like a spotlight hogging kind of person like Kevin. He's more like a kind of a chilled, relaxed person, unlike Kevin. So he's very low key, but I used him today to tune the trumpets, and this beauty of the sound he was making, which is ridiculous because we were just tuning. It's not like you would think, oh, here's a time for beautiful playing, but that's exactly what happened. Kyle just played the most beautiful, great tone quality, beautiful clarinet sounds in tune. Trumpet section was able to just get together with him and tune. I was just blown away by that, especially today as I knew I was about to recognize him. What a phenomenal marcher Kyle is. Absolutely phenomenal marcher. I mean, he's just always like brilliant. The feet, the legs, especially the backward march. The backward march and the halting. This is going to sound really weird, but I enjoy watching Kyle's legs. It's a thing of beauty. I mean, just the technical precision. When he halts and stuff, it's just like, yes! I'll tell you right now, if everybody marched even 80% of what Kyle's doing, our visual scores would be unstoppable. And he just gets it done all the time. Totally reliable, totally dependable. Love this guy. To Kyle. Get your piece of metal, young man. He's lurking behind you. Ooh, that hurt my ears. This is Daisy. Daisy's a repeat section leader, right? This is your second year.
Yeah.
Bravely leading our trumpets to victory. I hope that all of us appreciate I hope that all of us appreciate a good brass section and a good drum line and a good pit. And all the musicians know. It's pretty good. So the musicians know that we have sectionals, and most of the real work for brass playing, or any playing really, is done in sectionals. And so Daisy's been almost single-handedly in charge of the trumpet section and their sound, because I don't really do that much. So any goodness that we hear from the brass is Daisy. And of course the hard work of her underlings. That's what she calls them. That's not my word. I don't know if you guys know that, but when we talk about you, that's the word she uses to describe you. Was that public? Okay. All right. Sorry to out you like that. She's incredibly smart and hardworking. I mean, just super, super bright. Amazing role model as a human being. She's just the nicest person. I can't imagine her ever saying something negative or even like projecting something negative or even like frowning. She's just always can-do and smiling and bubbly, and just not bubbly in a bad way, but bubbly in a like, I want to be happier like Daisy. And so maybe later I'll ask you how you do it, because she's just always so happy, always so good, totally dependable, absolutely phenomenal, rocking all three of those blocks. To Daisy. Congratulations. Hey, San Pasqual, hold it down.
Here, don't move.
I'm not gonna move.
We have a drive tonight.
Can I go somewhere too?
Gotta wet the whistle. All right. This is Ariana. Apparently, she goes by Ari. Who calls her Ari? Everybody but me? All right. I'll call her underling from now on. Ariana has been the backbone of this percussion section for years. Caleb and I have been watching her really since maybe even before she started here. Certainly as a ninth grader, we sort of knew, not to say that we pick who's going to be drum captain or whatever when they're freshmen, but we sort of saw it coming. And she's done everything. Absolutely everything we've ever asked of her. She's never complained. She's never said it's too much. She's never said, no, sir. It's always yes, sir, right? Or absolutely, or can do, or something like that. Totally dependable, reliable, and thoughtful. It's a tough gig being a drum captain in our program. Caleb works with us once in a while, right? And so much of the work, even more than we were talking about, I think, Daisy and running sectionals, Ariana's running sectionals every day in class. Imagine playing the saxophone and saying, okay, the music director almost never works with me, right? The saxophones just go off and do their thing, and then somebody hopefully is making sure something gets done. Well, that somebody for years has been Ariana. And again, going back to the brass and the drums, any goodness or awesomeness that we've heard from those sections is directly accountable to these two young ladies here. Ariana has been a phenomenal drum captain, an absolute pillar of the program, the backbone of all things marching band, and a much, much better drum captain than I was, and a phenomenal role model for all of you. To Ariana. Plus, she's wearing a Pikachu hat. It's really funny. It's like I knew what you were going to do because, again, my words say everybody loves Howard. Except me. I can't stand him. He's sassy. Right? He's rude. He's unkind. The sarcasm thing's not working too well. Hey, Michelle, edit out the sarcasm stuff later. We'll just go with the sincere now. Howard is tall.
Quite a defining trait.
He's just the nicest guy. I mean, I love this guy, and I've loved him for years, right? Since he was just a little guy, right? I mean, I don't know if the Kung family remembers, but I remember when Howard was small, and we used to call him Howie. And
Don't do that. Don't do it.
see, I don't call him Howie now.
I mean, you can.
Thank you.
Give a pass.
How many times?
Let's keep it at 5.
5. I get to call him Howie 5 times. That's going to be great. 4 more times. He used to just come to band with Michelle all the time, and as a kid, and he was full of energy and enthusiasm and everything. I'll tell you, his freshman audition, he was an 8th grader, and you don't expect brilliant. Was it a classical piece? You don't. First of all, the saxophone. Brief history. Brief history of the saxophone. Once upon a time, there was this crazy person who said, let's make an instrument and call it the saxophone. And then really bad stuff started happening all over the world. Jazz, Kenny G, classical alto sax playing. This isn't working very well. You don't expect a classical solo played by a 13-year-old on the alto saxophone that sounds phenomenal. I mean, think about the most professional thing you've heard anywhere in our program in the last 5 years or whatever, whether it was, an oboe solo or a violin solo or a vocal solo or somebody playing the piano so beautifully or whatever. That was my impression of him as a 13-year-old playing his audition for advanced band. Absolutely phenomenal. Do you know that he's an artist, an illustrator, a painter, an animator, a programmer, a designer, a composer, a pianist, a saxophonist? What don't you do, Howie?
Times he left.
Yeah, do you do pottery?
I could.
He probably could.
Acrobatics.
Absolutely. You all benefit from having these people living and demonstrating each of those 3 blocks all the time. I want you to think about a moment where you saw Howard fail in the character block, or let you down, or say something unkind. Did it ever happen? What about the musicianship block? What about the performance block? How big is this guy's sound? It's so big, right? How many first alto saxophones are there in the field show?
Just one.
Just one, right? So when I hear a first alto part on the field, battling the entire brass section and all the percussionists, and then the other people who play, I think that must be Howard, is what I thought today as he was playing. And it wasn't like he was sticking out either. Anyway, fantastic musician, huge sound, great guy. Everybody loves Howard. To Howard.